Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, and today is Wednesday, our follow-up video of surfacing the surface grinder table on the planer mill. Now, as you can see, there's a different job up here, and this is an upcoming video. I put out a short of this on Friday, before the surfacing video. This video will be 3 to 4 weeks out of this job, but these are bronze bars. So, as always, on a Wednesday follow-up, we answer your comments and questions. There weren't a lot of questions, but let's dive into them. All right, so as always, I don't respond to questions, comments that I want to address in the follow-up video. So just starting out right here, the first one, if the table was worn that bad, the saddle will be just as bad. He should bring that in and cut it to fit before scraping. So we did discuss that. And the problem is the saddle is a much larger piece. And we looked at it, we talked about it. The boring mill would have been the best way to do it, but we just couldn't figure out how to hold it properly. So he is hand scraping that one in, hand lapping it, everything. I mean, he's gonna work that thing in. So yes, that is really bad too, but actually the table was the worst of it. I'm looking forward to the 60-hour-long scraping video. So Alex is scraping that in on his own time. He's probably got close to that already into it, but he is doing a great job. I've seen a couple of pictures a while back. I haven't talked to him in a while, and we shot this a month ago probably. So he's making progress, slow but steady. He's got a lot of stuff going on in his personal life, new wife and all that. So. Here's the next one. Now, I hope everyone knows that I do not know the correct procedure, but why not use a cupped grinding wheel to clean it up? And are you scraping for experience? Why not use tercite? So, absolutely no grinding. Absolutely none allowed in my shop on this side of the building. So, where the machines are, I will not allow grinding. Not at all. Not a chance in hell. It destroys machines. You know, grinding is out in the welding area, so absolutely no. And then, are you scraping for the experience? I think Alex is. You know, he's a young guy. He's learning. He likes to do this stuff, so that's why, more than likely. And tercite. As far as the tercite goes, I don't know. He didn't really say. Obviously, a surface grinder is a very low value machine. You can buy surface grinders all day long for $500 that are in pretty good shape. So realistically, putting a lot of time and effort into one is not something you really is really worth it, because you can buy a good one for not a lot. But Alex wanted to do this as a learning experience because it was so bad. It was a good experience for him. As we had talked, you know, you could throw that thing away, spend another $300 to $500 and buy another one that's in better shape, but he wanted to learn. So that was the whole reason. I don't know why he didn't go with tercite, though. Next one is, could I possibly bring my South Bend lathe ways to mill them flat? Maybe. As I've said before, I'm no longer in business. I'm just doing jobs on the side for my existing customers and not taking on anything new. But you could reach out. We could talk about it. It might be something I'd be willing to work with. All right, so there are a whole bunch of questions in here that pretty much tell me that people don't watch the whole video because this was addressed. Why we chose to use a small end mill versus a big fly cutter. And that was addressed about halfway through the last video. And the reason for that is we wanted a perfect surface finish. A fly cutter, if the tram is off on the head this way, it's going to dish it. If it's off this way, it's going to put a bevel on it. Whereas a small cutter is a smaller area. If it's off, you're not going to hardly notice it. So that was why we did that, and for the look. So if he doesn't completely scrape this thing and make it look like, you know, a beautiful scraped surface, he's got these beautiful milled lines. So that was the whole reason why we didn't use a fly cutter. And actually, he was the one who approached me with the idea of using the small end mill to start with. So, and I like that idea. I thought that was a great idea. Way better than a fly cutter. So that was why. All right, here's another good one. Great guest star. Was this part bad from the factory or did it distort over time? We have no idea. None whatsoever. Neither one of us can figure out what happened there. It just does not make any sense why that thing was all kinds of out of shape. It was weird. Oh, another one asking about the damage to the surface plate. And like I said, we have no idea. It didn't make sense. Why the long runs and not milling sections, such as perimeter and then center portions? Just seems like a lot of downtime going down the open middle. That was the path he wanted to take. That was all on him, and I think it came out beautiful. And I probably would have done it the same way. Not that it, probably would have taken about the same amount of time, really, maybe less, but I would have done it the same way. Is it not possible to advance rapidly when there's nothing in the to cut? That was wide open when he was not in the cut. So I had to slow this thing down considerably to handle a mill head. The shaper or planer, as a planer, they run much faster. This had to be slowed down. When I got it, it was still too fast. The previous owner was only using it for drilling, so it was positioning. Whereas I'm milling with larger face mills and stuff, I needed it slower to give me the surface finish I needed. So that was wide open. That's as best you're going to do. Here's a good one. I wonder, wouldn't it have been good to put it on a surface plate before turning it over? I'm not a pro. Yeah, it may be. We milled it. We know the quality of the machine, what it'll do. So we assumed it would be just fine, and it was. When we took it off, we threw it up on the surface plate, and it sat there absolutely flat. It was perfect. Nothing, no issues whatsoever. So, but yeah, you're right. We should have probably put it over on the surface plate right after milling it just to see what we had. Another one about a fly cutter, which I explained in the original video also. So yeah, lots of comments about using the small end mill versus a fly cutter, and like I said, it was explained in the main video, which obviously nobody watched that part or fast forwarded through it. And like I said, it's all about what we wanted for a surface finish and guaranteed perfection. Smaller cutter has less chance of, if any tram is off on that head, any direction, you're going to get cupping. Whereas with a small end mill, you won't notice that cupping. Let's say you're off a tenth of a degree and you're using an 8-inch fly cutter, that could equate to a few thousandths. Whereas a little end mill, you wouldn't even notice it. It'd be microns. So that's why. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned. I got some good stuff coming. A little bit of shop stuff. We're getting the sawmill ready. I shot a video the other day of the first preparations for sawing for the year. And then the weather turned to crap again. So 31 degrees outside today. It is not cooperating this year. Mother Nature, I swear, is drunk. She's on something, that's for sure. But we're working on it. Working towards getting to the sawmill. In a few weeks, we're going to be going down, tearing down my father-in-law's pole shed. So we got the steel for the sawmill shed. We're going to finish tearing that down, get that all cleaned up, so we'll film that. Just working on a lot of different stuff. So stay tuned, good stuff coming. And until next time, get out in your shop and get it done right the first time.
Too dumb to quit, too proud to cry, still grinding steel under a fading sky. The last machine shop in a frozen hell, just me and a dream I can't seem to sell. Too dumb to quit, too stubborn to die.